Okay. How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm well.
That's good. This is going to go like a conversation. We're going to give you 90 seconds to kind of tell us a little bit about you or anything that you want to do during that time, 90 seconds. Then we've chosen a random order for who starts with the questions. And then we work through it, and I'll be the last person to ask questions. And so the clock is yours.
Right. Mayor Gonzalez, Vice Mayor Simon, and honorable members of the City Council, thank you so much for the opportunity to address you tonight. And I humbly ask for your appointment to the District 1 City Council seat. I believe that my unique combination of professional experience, community leadership, and my lived experience as an immigrant Latina will complement the strengths of this council. I have dedicated my career to public service. I served in leadership positions in the cities of San Leandro and the city of Berkeley. I've worked in equity-focused nonprofits that focus on serving folks who are underserved and without resources. And for over 10 years, I've supported public education in K-12 by ensuring equitable access and resources to Black, Latino, and English language learners, as well as low-income students. My priorities include community-oriented public safety, addressing homelessness, affordable housing, supporting existing businesses, and fostering economic development. I'm a proud mother of two, and since becoming a mother, I've rediscovered San Leandro in a whole new light. On a personal note, I'm deeply moved by the support that I've received from my neighbors and from folks that I've worked with over the decades. Out of respect for your time, I've asked them to submit their comments online and via email. I also want to thank the opportunity to thank my family, my husband, for their support through this process. Thank you for your time.
At this point in time, we will be starting with Councilmember Azevedo and then coming down the dice.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you so much for willing to offer your time to be on the city council and represent District 1. What would you say would be the first issue you would tackle in San Leandro?
Thank you for the question. So in speaking with various community members in various parts of the city, public safety emerges as one of the priorities, and not just in kind of public safety and crime, but also the kind of other areas like traffic, like speeding, safety, and the walkability of neighborhoods. People really want to feel like they belong and that they can feel safe where they shop, where they eat, where they buy their groceries. So that would be one thing that I would prioritize. I think another thing that makes people feel safe is having a place to live. And so addressing homelessness is another one that I would prioritize out of my priorities that I addressed.
My second question is, what is your passion or drive to want to be on the city council?
Sure. I have been fortunate enough to have been mentored by people who saw in me something that I didn't see in myself. And so I have dedicated my career to mentoring and being mentored by young people, to learn about their perspectives and also to grow mine. I also use that to I really see the city council as the conduit and the voice and connecting community with city hall and with their government. And so to me is about creating a space where we all see each other reflected in the spaces that we go, whether they're public and our businesses. And so when I talk about belonging and when I talk about mentoring, I really want, like, that's really where I see that. And I see the city council as reflective of that and connecting, channeling various communities and resources with City Hall and with their government. Can I just ask a quick question? Is it 4 minutes per council member or is it 4 minutes per question? Okay, thank you.
For Councilmember.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Councilmember Aguilar, please.
Thank you, Mayor Gonzalez, and thank you, Sbeydeh, for submitting your application. Congratulations on being one of the 6 to be a part of this process. My question is, the city has over $300 million in unfunded capital improvement projects. We call them CIP.
Mhm.
How would you try to solve this issue?
Yes. So I was looking over the city budget as kind of the foundational documents, right, that you all have voted on. One, I really do see and applaud the council for really tackling this and addressing it head on. Y'all have looked at the variety of infrastructure needs, like streets and facilities and all the improvements. You have, listed them and prioritized them in kind of where they stand in terms of urgency and cost. And I really applaud you all for adding the $30 million over 6 years to help fund some of these needs. So I think that that's a balance. One, we have to make sure that resources are spread throughout the city and ensuring that different communities that may not have access to these kinds of improvements, that they feel that it's been distributed equitably. But also balancing the kind of higher need, higher dollar projects with the ones that are about to get to that point, right? Because we want to invest in projects that may not cost as much, but they will maybe double in cost if we wait 5 years. So balancing the kind of really urgent ones that need to get done because there's public safety issues, I don't know. It's like a public safety type thing where we talk about a fire access route or something like that. But then there's also some projects that have been on the queue for a long time and they kind of keep getting worse and worse. So balancing the projects, ensuring that there's equitable distribution and ensuring that they're also the projects where they're located, that they're distributed within all the districts.
Thank you. And my other question is, has to do with our navigation center. So we're advocating to build this navigation center here in San Leandro to help address our unhoused and mental health issues. How would you move forward in advocating with that to make sure that we streamline the process to make this come to fruition?
Yeah. So thank you for that question. And it's one of my priorities. So the good news is that we're not the first city that established a navigation center. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned. We are, however, a unique community. We're really diverse. We have a variety of folks who are in need of these services, that are veterans, that just, come from all walks of life. So in terms of advocating for resources is really working with our county partners and with the state partners, and utilizing the tools that we already have. We have state and federal lobbying organizations that work with the council and with staff. So leveraging that. But also, looking at the opportunities that the state already has for this type of investment. So working with our state partners, working with our county partners, and really making sure that when we make improvements to, and when we launch the navigation center, that we use data to make improvements, and that we also kind of use that to improve it and make sure that it serves the needs of the folks who need it.
Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bowen, please.
Hi, Sbeydeh. Can you tell me about a time when you've had to make a difficult decision and speak to the process and your considerations?
Yes. So during my time in the city of Berkeley, I was in charge of establishing and launching a Cradle to Career education initiative. The challenge was that it launched right as the recession was happening. And so we really didn't have any funds, additional funds, that we would be able to fund this initiative. And so the mayor said, we have to find a way to find existing money, align, and get everyone moving in the same direction. And so my role there in charge of education, health, and community services, and as deputy chief of staff, was connecting community, connecting all the organizations that were funded through our various funding pots throughout the city. And, you know, some of the organizations have been funded for decades and were a big part of the community, of the fabric of the community. And we needed to introduce this initiative that was a Cradle to Career initiative that was like a 15-year initiative, kind of really long-term introducing it. But also, what value do you see yourself bringing to the community? And how do you see yourself in service to this citywide initiative that included the school district, included higher education institutions? And so the process became, when it was evident that the council was going to have to reprioritize and redistribute these funds, there were really tough conversations that we needed to have about data collection, creating capacity in these nonprofits to collect the data they needed to make their case. But also, even if they weren't able to do that, balance the qualitative data, not just hard numbers, right? There's people behind these numbers, and there's experiences between these numbers. And so we really wanted to gather that. And so everyone that applied for the funding didn't get it. And as the mayor's representative, working with city staff, elected staff, community members, and the nonprofits, what ended up carrying us through this was the transparency, that everyone was aware of the process, how the decision was made. They were ranked by various city commissions. So the process itself was very public. And we had an open door policy where if you have any questions about the process, at any point, please come to us and we'll meet with you. So I am happy to say that, you know, years later, I still have really good relationships with those organizations that didn't end up getting the funds they wanted, but they actually improved their data collection that set them up for larger grants from foundations. So it was capacity building, and it was a lot of lessons learned.
Another priority that is really important is quality of life issues.
Yes.
And you spoke a little bit to it already, but can you share some of the concerns you see in District 1 in particular and some ideas that you have to addressing them?
Yeah, so crime is something that is top of mind for folks, the walkability of neighborhoods, and also a variety of businesses that folks want to walk to and enjoy. I know that for folks in the hills, there's concern about fire safety.
This time we'll go to Council Member Baloo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations, Sbeydeh, on making it this far.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions and we have 4 minutes. So if we go long on the first one, we get to 2 minutes, I'm just going to raise my hand. That's my indicator that I got a second question in the hopper for you.
Thank you.
It may not take that long. There are 5 of you here tonight vying for this position. Besides yourself, which one of the other 4 applicants do you consider the most qualified for this appointment and why?
Out of the 4 candidates, I think Miss Stroud is one that I would consider. Yes, Miss Stroud. And we actually have never met, but our worlds have collided in the higher education spaces. And when we were also chatting in the back, I just really connected with her. But in reading her application that was submitted to you, I think she would be a good addition to the city council.
Thank you. I do have a follow-up. I wasn't planning on having a follow-up to this question. Did you read all of the applications of everyone?
Did.
Thank you. The second question is, if you're appointed, What is your plan to conscientiously represent all 90,000 plus residents of San Leandro and not be unduly influenced by a small number of activists who do not necessarily speak for or represent the values of the 90,000 plus San Leandrons? Please be specific.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, how would you conscientiously represent all 90,000 plus residents of San Leandro and not be unduly influenced by a small number of activists who do not necessarily speak for or represent the values of the 90,000 plus San Leandrons?
I speak to this in my application, but one of my big goals, and this was something that I was mentored on, and it's a muscle that I've learned to use, is moving from perception to perspective. We all have our lived experience and whatever we grew up with, lived with, or whatever, that where we live, it really paints the perception of the things that we're experiencing. And when we talk to someone if we talk to two people who were in the same place at an event, you might have two totally perspectives about what happened. And so to me is understanding that there's perspective to this, but moving into putting yourself into other people's shoes and getting to the perspective of where they are and why, and kind of understanding their why. I have an open door policy as well. I meet with folks, and I have been in really hard conversations about social problems, solutions, and having some really good debate about some of these issues. And so I think ultimately what I do is I usually almost always come from a place of assuming best intentions, that we all are active because we believe that we have a role in improving the city that we live and the community that we are part of. And so I always bring that when I talk to people. And it served me well, because even when we are in disagreement, we always agree that we are in the debate because we care about what we're talking about. And we want to, whatever small influence we may have in the room and the place that we're sitting in, we want to use that to improve our community. And so I think that carries us through that. And so I want to talk to folks online. I want to talk to folks in person, go to events where people go, cultural events, park events, and utilize those opportunities.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor Simon, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Present, seniors in San Leandro are the largest group among youth, adults, and seniors, with seniors consisting of 39% of our population, and in time is expected to grow even larger. What specific measures will you take to cater to our growing senior community?
Thank you for that question, Vice Mayor. A fact that I was reading through the housing element was 56% of senior-headed homes in San Leandro are low income. And most folks who are not seniors, we are 1 to 3 paychecks away from homelessness. But 56% of our seniors in San Leandro are low income. And so that was just really surprising to read. Also, 1 out of 5 households in San Leandro spend 50% of their income on housing. And so I think for when I speak to some of our seniors, they want to age in place, and they want to continue to be part of the community that they've invested so much of their energy, their time, and their resources. And can I just pause, and can I have you repeat the second part of the question?
What specific measures will you take to cater to the growing senior community? What specific measures?
Mm-hmm. So one is addressing this housing question and ensuring that we can keep seniors in their homes. Also, I've also heard that a lot of our seniors don't feel safe anymore going out into where they shop and where they eat and where they have fun. And so safety continues to emerge as a priority across age groups and seniors as well. So I'll just leave it at that since we're.
Thank you. You may have seen in past council meetings, recent council meetings, we've had a large high school showing coming out to our council. We've also had, in past meetings, elementary schools come to accept nominations, leading our flag opening, and wanted to know, from your perspective, how would you, on council, better improve our relationship with our youth? Whether it's high school, elementary school, how would you improve our relationships?
Mhm. The bulk of my career has been in education, in K-12 and higher education. And I think every year I go to San Leandro Career Day, every year. And what I hear from young people asking for is opportunity. They want opportunity. They want to live here and work here and have fun here. And so I think how we can connect with them is ensuring that as the council makes decisions, that we keep them in mind and think long term, because they are listening to what the city is doing. They are asking, where can I get a job? If I want to go to college, is there money? Can I go to the library and do my homework? They're often asking for opportunity, and they are looking for people they can speak to resource whatever it is that they want to do. So I think as council members, I think you should also be open to being mentored by these young folks who have so many great ideas about their vision for the city and their vision for their lives and for their communities.
Thank you.
I'd like to spend a little bit of time digging into public safety.
Okay.
You've mentioned it, and just really want to brainstorm some strategies. I want to know the how. How are we going to make our city safer? What can you be doing to help us achieve that goal?
So, to create a safer community, I think we need to provide opportunity and foster our sense of belonging to the city. I also believe that residents and visitors need to feel safe in their homes. So in terms of priorities, there's 4. One is a fully staffed, responsive, and culturally appropriate, but also visible police force so that folks feel safe when they're walking around. Understand that there are levels of harm that have been done, that some folks may not feel that, but having them in a way that is culturally appropriate in the spaces that they are is one. Continue to strengthen the community police board. I'd also like to add that data transparency is important. I know that the police department is short-staffed, and there's issues there in terms of staffing, but I was unable to find the most recent crime data. And I think that transparency in what is happening might change some of the perceptions that people have about what's happening, right? Because I think, I've heard Governor Newsom say that we don't live our life in the aggregate, and that behind, even if crime may be trending down, there's still crime happening to someone, and they don't feel safe. And so really having that data available to the public would be useful. And folks continue to talk about traffic safety, pedestrian safety, and speeding in residential neighborhoods. That continues to kind of elevate past the crime and feeling safety.
So I'd like to move to my second question. It's really focused in whatever you want to take it, economic development or taxes, because I really care about the 300 million, I think that Councilmember Aguilar talked about. Because it's one thing to talk about how we spend the money. It's another thing to talk about how we get the money.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether it's economic development or taxes or bonds or, helicopter from the sky, I don't really care how.
Got it.
I want you to brainstorm with me about the how.
Yeah. So one of the ideas that I was, in bringing my higher education perspective is San Leandro is uniquely situated in the Bay Area. We have 2 freeways, 2 BART stations. we have the ocean, and we have the hills, and we have, you know, this amazing combination of ingredients. And one thing that I thought might, you know, in looking some of the Caltrans data, we have thousands of people that travel through our freeways. So I think bringing in an extension campus, a higher education extension campus, San Leandro already does this through their apprenticeship programs. There's a lot of apprenticeship programs that are based in San Leandro where we have people who are coming here to get an education. But if we brought an extension campus here, near one of the BART stations, there's Bayfair that's going, you know, we're planning for that long term. There's downtown, there's a lot of amazing office space there that I think we can leverage to bring an extension campus and really solidify San Leandro as a place where adult learners come and reskill themselves, but also where they come and spend time and they find out about all the amazing things that we're doing here. They'll walk downtown and spend money in the restaurants and and also enjoy the library if they need to do some of their homework. So that's one idea that I'd like to elevate.
Thank you. So we'd like to give you the opportunity to kind of maybe give you 60 seconds to wrap up. Maybe there was a question that you didn't feel like you answered just right, or gee, you didn't ask me about this. I came so prepared and I want to be able to share with you about this great answer that I had to the question you didn't ask. This is your time.
I am so grateful for the opportunity to address you tonight. As you can see, I have the professional and the leadership qualifications to honorably represent District 1 in San Leandro. My household, our household, is reflective of many of them here. I am an immigrant and my husband's family has been here for 74 years. I pursued higher education and he's a union and he completed a union apprenticeship, and my profession is in public service and he's a union plumber. So when we decided to grow our family, the choice was obvious. So when we moved to San Leandro, the diverse and active community was something that, to me, spoke a lot about the values of the city. I have the experience and aptitude with this to work with all of you and with staff to accomplish the council's goals. And I also commit to being a channel and a voice of the community to their government. I really want to thank you for your time and for your consideration. Thank you very much.